In this lesson, we'll learn how to set the default interpolation of our project. Let's go ahead and select the crate. We can see it's been animated. And by default, we're going to have this spline-based interpolation or transition from key to key. Now, what regulates this? Well, the options that control how our animations interpolate can be found at the animation palette. All the way at the very end, the right-hand corner, we'll find the options menu. So by default, of course, we have it set to default interpolation or spline-based interpolation. If we'd like to change this, the first thing we need to do is head over to custom preferences. Now we have different settings we could choose. Here's spline, here's linear, and even step, which is great for blocking in your animation without the distraction of it floating around that you'd get with spline or linear. There's also other options to regulate how your tangents will behave, and we'll be covering this as we get into the F-curve manager. But for right now, let's go ahead and have this interpolation set to step and choose OK. Now the last thing we'll need to do is head back over to the options and choose custom interpolation, which reads from the custom preferences. Alright, so just to see this in action, let's head over to frame 53. I'll turn on auto key and make sure we could set position keys. Now if we were to lift the crate up just a little bit higher, you could see that our animation path has changed slightly after this key. So before the key, we're still going to have smooth interpolation, but after the key, in its position, it's going to pop to the next frame. So we can see how step will cause our animation to behave. Now if you ever want to set it back to spline, it's very simple. You can either select the key on the animation path, and under the key properties, set the interpolation back to spline. Or another way, if I were to set this back to step, is to simply go back to your default interpolation. And now if you were to go back to 53 and add a slight change to the crate and store a keyframe, it's going to override that key with spline interpolation. And of course, feel free to head back over to custom preferences and set the interpolation back to spline if you like. Me personally, unless I've gone ahead and changed these other settings, I might leave this interpolation set to step. And then when I'm ready to smooth out the animation and start to polish, simply head over back to default interpolation. But we've taken a look at how we can, again, manage the default interpolation of our project. Another thing you can do from the option menu